I think it's about time that I tell y'all my real thoughts on Brat Taming, right? About time that I tell y'all my real thoughts on Brat Taming. For me, I've been seeing this trend, right, of like doms, especially androcentric doms, who have been doms for a good bit of time, like pretty much just quitting all out on Brat Taming, right? Just quitting all out on Brat Taming, and a lot of them on being a daddy dom as well, right? I've been seeing a big trend of this, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why. I'm gonna tell you the reason why, right? And it does have something to do with these freakos. It does have something to do with these different components of modern psychology, right? Because as consent becomes an even further moving concept as far as how it's expressed, understand that as the Overton window moves, certain ways of handling and slapping the animus, certain ways of resolving conflict that were acceptable for that day and age are no longer acceptable. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing, right? It helps create more accountability for those who are actually like really evil, like perpetrators and all that other shit, right? But understand that this shit is a moving goalpost. There are different types of women. There are different thresholds for different things. And some people's way of interacting and operating is that they like a certain level of aggressiveness. They like a certain level of assertiveness. They like a certain level of control or responsibility. But at the same time, it's in more of a fractured state of mind, right? And this is why consent and having these conversations is so important, right? But for many women, it's going to exist in this fractured space of existence, right? Which is when they are tapping into their sexual shadows, tapping into sexual duplicity, or having a mental break from the pressures of trying to fit into certain social values and mores, right? Trying to fit in with the animus, right? Trying to measure up to the animus projection, or trying to, that's how it works. Or when a woman fails to try to get a man to align himself with her animus when she has some level of attachment towards him, right? It's like the breaking of that. You give up on it, and then you kind of just take what comes, right? Especially when this comes with what a man measuring up to a woman's animus doesn't come with, which is true, primal, lustful, sexual desire. Now, if that's already something within a woman, then she can tap into that from an integrated shadow perspective. But in my opinion, that means that you have the ability to have direct conversations about what you're looking to do. You're able to be submissive first, and to either, negotiate and communicate your bratting, or it's a scenario in which you are learning that dom's boundaries, what lines not to cross, and observing that for yourself before you start trying to test the waters too much with the bratting. You can say, okay, I'm a little bit of a brat, but then you show that submissiveness and show, okay, cool, you're trying to fill it out. Now, sometimes it can be better just to show it up front. I get a woman's desire to be safe leads to her testing, but understand that according to modern clinical psychology, see, y'all women folks thought y'all was going to be safe from this modern clinical psychology understanding when it comes to consent and what's considered abuse. A lot of y'all behaviors are abusive. You just don't know it, because most women's mindsets are typically going to be separate from certain things, right? It depends on who she's talking to. Just like anytime a woman is on social media, who she's talking to, there's a target audience and there's a shadow audience. Like an example of this could be, a woman could say squirting is pee, right? She could be talking shit about other women and say that if you squirt, you're really just peeing on people, right? And if a woman has that perspective, typically it means what? That one, she can't squirt, or at least she doesn't know that she can. And because she doesn't know that she's capable of squirting, she wants to denigrate the existence of it or the reality of it so that she can try to soothe and ease her self-esteem, to make herself feel better, to not feel like she's incapable. But also it may be to not denigrate the value of what her man offers to the table sexually by trying to see him as incompetent for being unable to provide her with that level of experience. But that's like the front level, then there's the level below that, and then there's a level even below that, which is sending out the beaker signals, right? It's like on 3 Body Problem. right? Where was it Liu Zhang? I'm not sure if that was the name of it, or I forgot which one was the one who sent the message out to the Trisolarans, right? But that's how it is on social media, right? If you have a woman who is on social media at all she has to do is put herself out there in a certain way to actually show what the weaknesses are. And it's like a dark forest, right? The internet is a dark forest. There's predators everywhere, right? Now, just the little things that your woman says can expose certain things. Like if it's something she's really seriously dealing with, and it's something that the people could perceive as a component of what you're supposed to provide to that relationship, if someone sees that, they probably, like certain more predatory men, they know how to find their way into that, right? That's just the truth, because she's going to want to see herself as so different. And that's the sad part about learning this game, is realizing that you're going to hear the same shit over and over and over again. And even the more quirky principles or quirks that women share typically aren't all that different either, right? And you know, you learn to enjoy it, you learn to accept it, and that's not an issue, but you also understand it takes away from some of that personalized feeling of things. That's the awareness that you're seeking to gain. But you know, that's where you enjoy things for what they are. You enjoy things in the moment, but it does make shit different. So when we're looking at the target audience, it's a lot of things that go along with it. Right? So with Brat taming, like, oh, no, let me step back to what I was saying. I lost my train of thought for a second. So oftentimes what can transpire is that when women are making things like bios, or they have a page where family and or business is, reasonably, right? Or they have a page where, you know, they just use it to vent their frustrations. You know, a woman's frustrations may have nothing to do with you, or the archetype that you represent in her mind, is better yet put, because it definitely has nothing to do with you personally, right? It might, but typically, even if it does, it's about something that she keeps encountering, right? Because that's a lesson that she hasn't learned yet. Right? Now, there's not just one way of resolving conflict. There's not just one way of learning a lesson, but you still have to learn it and figure out how you're going to navigate it. You just have to make the right choice. Like if you say you don't want to deal with certain shit anymore, and you're not going to deal with certain people, that means either you got to learn how to get a different result, or that means that you don't deal with anybody who's giving you that type of energy or that type of response, right? Which means that if you're already limiting your options, typically the frustration that people experience, where they would be willing to share a post or expose somebody or whatever it is, like if you're not into somebody enough, if you're not attracted enough to them where the idea of having some type of interaction is present, you're probably not going to block that person. You're probably not going to, you know, get all that mad at that person. You know, if anything, it's just a joke, but it's the disappointment that stems from seeing someone as a possible candidate and then being disappointed that they aren't fitting into the narrative because you haven't decided whether or not you wanted to lead or follow. That's what leads to the frustration oftentimes. Because if you already decided you wanted to lead, then you're only going to deal with somebody who knows how to follow, and then you're going to have a path and a trajectory, right? If you decide that you want to follow, then no backseat driving there, right? You see if they're going in the direction you can go in, or if you like them enough to be open-minded about what experiences that they're sharing with you. But if you're trying to backseat drive about like what direction you're going in, and you don't have a direction for yourself set, then you're just a waste of space, right? You're a waste of time. Let's just keep it a buck. Like, to me, I got places I'm trying to go in life. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I ain't doing no brat taming for free. I'm not doing it. No. Why am I not gonna do any brat taming for free? Because, well, one reason is this right here. Man, my patience is much thinner than it used to be. My patience used to be much more. I mean, I have more tools now, right? I have more tools so that I could brat tame even better than I did when I was younger, right? I know what to do. I know the pattern of behaviors. I can do it. I can make it happen. I can tame me a brat, right? I could check me a bitch. I can do that. But at the same time, I start to look at it in my life like, man, how much did I have to go through to gain this skill set? How much?